Hey, I am FeedBackGaming and this is Hearts of Iron 4. This video is different. This is one of my every click videos where you can see every single click I make, well, about 99% of them, and you can play optimally and hopefully play the best possible game of Hearts of Iron 4. But not only that, this is also part 2. Single player, load, and oh goodness. Oh, we've played a lot of games since then. Regardless, we're in 1941 and we're playing as the Soviet Union. Remember, this is a part 2. If you didn't check out part 1, oh, there it is in the top right. Give it a click, give it a watch. And that's how you can reach this exact point. Do exactly what I do. Off we go. Now, I've showed you how to optimally build factories, optimally to min-max your combat experience, and also build a very chunky tank division. Oh boy, it's very chunky. But there was one thing I didn't show you, and that was how to micro this division. Now, this division's great. It has a lot of firepower if you don't know how to use it. And today, we're going to play with our toys. Are you ready? So the first thing you're going to notice is the Germans have declared war on me. And that's going to result in us getting pushed back very aggressively. With these divisions, you're not going to survive very long. So we're going to have to use our tank divisions. We have a few tank divisions that are still training here. One of the biggest issues is we're actually behind on tanks. Now, these tanks will not fight optimally. When they're low strength, they will lose a large part of their ability to fight. So to make sure they're fighting most efficiently, what we're actually going to do is take off a tank, add on our mechanized, check into logistics. We're going to wait a day. Now we can work obviously on producing more of these tanks, which is we are going to do that. But to top that off as well, to make this even more optimal, we're going to go with one more extra mechanized. Boom. This means now we wait one more extra day. There we go. Only 600 heavy tanks left behind. Okay. And as you can see, the Germans are attacking now, and this is not looking too good. Oh no, how will you pull this one back? So we need to use our tank in the exact right positions to make encirclements. It's not a matter of pushing the enemy back, it's also a matter of encircling divisions. So eventually their front line will become weaker and weaker, and eventually we'll just be able to overpower them. So our question is, how do we use these tanks? So we're going to press B to railroad, and then we're going to right-click right about here to railroad them to the front line. One thing you're going to need to do as well is to optimize for your infrastructure. The higher infrastructure you're going to have in your capital, the more infrastructure you will have throughout your entire nation. But then you'll also need to build the infrastructure leading up to the front line where you're going to be fighting. And these tanks, if you've not already realized, have a hell of a lot of supply. 3.26 supply per division. And we have 24 of those. So that's a lot of supply. So if you hold shift and control and left click on your capital region, we can max this out. We can get this above the maximum cap of 98. As you can see, we are currently working on that. And as we progress more and more, we can build infrastructure along the nation. It was F4, by the way, to get to this supply map mode. As you can see, this number reflects on the maximum capable supply. So you can see here, 63. And where here you've got like the 90s, 80s, and 80s. So this is the area that's going to need the supply the most. Oh, Belarus. Lacking infrastructure. We'll have to do something about that. Regardless, let's move these boys to the front line. What we'll do initially is grab all of our air force and attach it onto our tank divisions and let the AI take care of that. These planes are something we're not really going to care too much about. They're just an afterthought. We do have some naval bombers, though, and they're here, and they can go here and then naval strike here, and then top that off, convoy raiding here. We take advantage of this Navy and Air Force, even though we're really technically not going to use it. Anyway, these guys are making their way to the front line now. Off they go, and here we are. So, let's talk about control groups. I bet you didn't even know they existed in Hearts of Iron 4. And you're probably thinking, what the hell is a control group? A control group is a way to select a unit quickly and incredibly efficiently. How do you assign control groups? So first of all, you select the units you want. So you hold shift and left click each of them. We're going to select, in this case, 4. Then we're going to hold control on the keyboard and press 1. See that? See that on screen? Shortcut was saved. You missed it. It was so quick. Now if we click away, and then we press 1 on the keyboard, boom, we are selecting these 4 divisions. So now 1 is binded to 4 tank divisions. And if you were to look away and press 1, you still select them. But get this, if you double tap 1, it goes to those divisions. Wow. By the way, I will be using the term units and divisions interchangeably. If that makes you mad, get over it. So now we're going to do the same with the rest of the divisions. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Control 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Control 3. And then 1, 2, and then we'll just go 4. The rest of these divisions here, we'll right-click them onto a new army, a new theater, then put them on low priority and exercise them to level 3 and put them on the back line. These will be our reserves, and we will push these to the front when either exercise, fully strength, or when we're in a sticky situation. Trust me, there's going to be a few of those. Spot this field marshal here. He's got our tank armies. We're going to do for organization first. And our main tank guy, he's got nothing, so we'll just stick with that. So we're going to regain organization first, and the first place we're eyeing up an encirclement is going to be here. So there's two things you want to do with your tank divisions. One, you need them to push forward and make encirclements. And two, you need to hold certain locations to try and strengthen them for long as possible. So what I'm going to decide to do is use these extra tank divisions and move them to the Romanian front. You see, the plains of Ukraine are a weak spot for the Soviet Union. Now, getting through these marshlands is tricky. The rivers and the forests of the Baltics, it's a bit tricky to push through. But the easy, open goal for the Soviet Union is the plains here. So my advice is to use your tanks defensively. So we're going to move these guys down here. And we just applied one tank onto each one of these tiles. We'll go boom, and pop these guys here. We'll control B, so get them on the front line. Now, these are going to be exercising, but they will have some fighting capabilities on the front line. And if you notice really closely here, they're going to hold pretty easily. Can you pierce these tanks? Of course you can, even though they have barely no organization. Ha! All right, we made a modification to this template. So what I'm going to do is just exercise it just for a little while before we put them back on the front line. So we're going to exercise them and get them up to 100%. That 25% extra combat modifier is such a big deal. It's not something you want to ignore. You always want to take advantage of that. Now it comes down to basic attack power. We want to try and go for as many passive bonuses as possible. Breakthrough and soft attack for the win. And as you can see here, less attrition, more reinforce rate, more reconnaissance, passive soft attack and breakthrough, passive soft attack breakthrough organization with doctrines. All the important things. Oh no, Mexico has joined the war. The beginning of the end. Another area of concern is the top of the Carpathian Mountains here. You can hold this quite easily because the mountains are a really good defensive buffer. But if you notice, just to the north here of a Lawau, there's a really easy area the AI will push into and try and encircle. It might be a good idea to leave a tank or two here just to hold this position. You'll know when it happens. So what you want to do now is spread out your tanks. We're going to have 2 in the north and 3 and 4 in the south. So 3 and 4 in the south. The south is going to be holding, and the north is where we're going to make all the gains. So you can see the AI is already making a breakthrough here and pushing us back. Oh no, the beginning of the end. Let's change the color to white's a good color because it really pops out. And you can give it a cool icon too. Ooh, the 76 tank division. Nice. Running into our first supply issues here. Bit of a annoying place here, but it is what it is. So we'll move you guys back, and then we'll try and grab 1, 2, 3, 4 of you guys. Move here, and the same here and here, just covering the flanks area. So C is fallback line, then I right-click and drag it out. Yes, I know they are exercising. Yeah, I know that's going to hurt their combat effectiveness, but we'll keep a close eye on them. Keep pressing space and pausing the game, checking your front lines. Trust me, you will get there. All right, these guys have exercised, and they're ready to fight. Their org is up. Strength is looking a lot better. Getting lots and lots of tanks. We've got AA tanks now as well. Once again, keep an eye on supply. Keep an eye on supply. Best thing to do right now is to prioritize military factories less so and focus more on repairs and building more infrastructure. All right, here we go. Oh no, an encirclement. Is it the end? So first thing we're going to do now is press 1 for control group, and then we're going to right click and shove these guys into the front line. Now remember, the max combat width is 80. Each of these divisions has a combat width of 40. So only 2 of them can be fighting on the front line with 2 sitting in reserves. Be aware if they're in reserve, they're not fighting and they're not helping you out. So that can be a concern. So be aware of that. So we've got press 2. And we can S the split to move them here. Then we'll have a third army that's going to go here. Hold shift, put them into the front line. S the split, push them to the front line. And then these guys in the south are just going to stay here. Off you go. Now, if you want to, you can make front lines. And you can build planning bonus. And you can attack with a significantly more firepower. And don't get me wrong, you can actually do a lot of damage with that extra firepower. In this case, though, these tanks have so much firepower. Trust me, you do not need planning bonus. But you can see straight away, we're pushing in here. We've saved these divisions instantly because the firepower on these tanks is absolutely insane. Boom. And in this case, he's been saved. So I'm going to slice to the front line here, and I'm going to try and close them off in the center. So what I'm doing is I'm right-clicking, and I'm holding shift and right-click on a multiple area to tell them to move through these spaces. The smart thing to do here is to move through each province. One of these is a province inside of a state, and leaving a tank behind as a defensive measure. Now, as much as these tanks do a lot of firepower, they can also simultaneously get encircled real easy. So just be aware of that. So we're going to resume the game now, going 4 speed. These guys are pushing in the south. We're going to make sure when we push through to here, we're going to push into here. Then we leave a tank behind by holding shift and deselecting one of them. Then moving here, shift left deselecting one, and then right click and move here. So that hopefully should encircle them on the front line. So as you can see here, this is the objective. We're pushing into their divisions, attempting to make encirclements, to then finally break through and do the dirty. Be aware, sometimes an attack may fail and they may not reinforce in time, and the whole attack order is cancelled. As you can see in this case, that has happened. So you're going to move here, here, and deselect and move forward one at a time. Low fuel. Oh no! In the meantime, we're going to stay on free trade just to take advantage of the bonuses, and we'll get a little bit of oil from America. America supplying resources to the Soviet Union. What timeline is this? Look at this beautiful salient happening here. Oh no, it'd be terrible if someone were to crawl around the back and make an encirclement. Would that happen? No? We will find out. And once again here, we're attacking on multiple pushes here. So you can see every one of these pushes, those attacks on the front line, doing as maximum damage as possible, spreading them as thin as possible. And you're probably thinking here, you'll never break this. 14 divisions, there's holding ground so much, but look how quickly they are de-orging these divisions, breaking them down piece by piece, and the whole stack collapse. So what happens is, if you're in a battle like this, and the divisions in the rear don't reinforce quick enough, it means the attack will stop completely. It'll just be cancelled completely. That also applies on the defensive. If you can't reinforce in time on the defensive, the whole stack of divisions will collapse and move back. Most of these divisions here did not even fight, but they had to run away because they could not reinforce in time. Heavy tank is just too strong. They're pushing into Konigsberg here, and we'll just whip around. And this is looking pretty good. So there's only one port left here, and this is in Memel. So I'm going to push into the Memel. And we broke the north of Konigsberg, but then we're going to sweep around the south of Konigsberg and try and make an encirclement. If you can't make the initial encirclement, your best advice is just to sweep around again and make a bigger encirclement. But be aware, the bigger you try and make the encirclement, the more likely you're going to encircle yourself. Remember, encirclements work both ways. Right, we're running out of fuel quickly. I think it's because we're naval convoy raiding our fleet. So let's just put them back. Oh, there we go. Loads of fuel now. And there we go. We have our first encirclement. And my God, it's a big one. Now, you select the tanks that are free, and then to right-click on the plains areas to close this pocket. Try and avoid moving over big rivers, and try and avoid pushing into the forest areas. Try and go for the easy pickings first. Konigsberg has been secured. I don't think we can hold it because the truth is at the moment, Germany has a lot of divisions. South here is holding pretty well. As you can see, every time they push, they have to go over a big river and they're faced with a heavy thonk and they cannot break it, even though it's low org. They're exercising their tanks while simultaneously fighting. So as you can see here, we made a breakthrough. So now we're going to push on the north, go for the city, and try and secure the ones behind the river. Once again, we're trying to avoid pushing over difficult terrain because heavy tanks have a hard time with terrain. Look at that penalty. And that is just, I think that's urban. It is urban. What you can also do is if you want a little bit more firepower when the tanks are engaged, is you can grab the infantry around it, hold control, right-click on the battle, and now the infantry will join the battle and provide just a tiny little bit more firepower. It's not a lot, but it will make a big difference. And you're probably thinking, air power, what's going on? Well, the AI sees you've got so much air attack, it doesn't even choose to engage you in these areas. So all that cast that the Axis has goes to waste. Simple as that, right? We're going to research a little bit more firepower, and then we're going to continue the assault. Keep pushing. Now I'm willing to push over the big rivers because now they have very low organization. Look how low org they are. And as you can see, completely demolishing them. The firepower is too strong. So this was the first engagement, the proper first engagement against the Germans. So let's have a little look. If you click on the we are currently at war here at the top, and then we hover over the German casualties, they have lost 859,000 troops to the Soviet Union. So that's how many troops were in that pocket, guys. There may be about 2,000 or 3,000 that were just losses generally on the front line when they made their initial push. But that's a lot of losses. That's insane. In other news, don't call Finland into the war because then you have to deal with this front line in the north. You don't want to deal with that. And nothing's more cursed than an Italian Norway. Ugh, please. I'm getting a headache. Now you've made your first encirclement. Now you've taken out 40, 50 divisions of the Germans. Their front line now is so much more thinner. Their offensive capability is severely limited. So now you can be a little bit more risky. And this is what I'd recommend. We press 1, right-click to move here. In fact, what we'll do actually, I'm feeling so risky. I'm just going to like drag a box here, grab all the tanks. So what you do here is remove all the ones that aren't tanks. So these not a tank, not a tank, not a tank. There we go. So now we've just got tanks. So what I'm going to do now is right-click here, remove a tank. Right-click here, remove a tank. Right-click here, remove a tank. And then right-click here, remove a tank. So as you're pushing now, you're deploying your full heavy tank firepower, and then you're leaving it behind a tank so you do not encircle yourself. And there's a potential for 20, 30 divisions to be encircled here. One thing that could slow you down, though, is if you can't break through due to low supply. So keep on top of those repairs. Make sure you're taking care of them. Repairs first, then working on building infrastructure afterwards. Anyway, let's see how this goes. Tanks are moving in. The first initial combat has happened. 2 tanks have engaged, and the initial divisions are wrecking havoc. You notice sometimes it's a stalemate. The first push is the hardest. You have to break their entrenchment, you have to break the difficult terrain, but then when the first tile breaks, boom, it's all in your favor, and more than likely you just continue to steamroll. And then the next one, what you can also do is grab the divisions behind the front line, the infantry, then therefore you can get a bigger encirclement on your front line. Who doesn't like big encirclements, right? Come on. The next one, and then moved in. They're counterattacking here. It's not looking good, but then we're going to grab 1 division here. Keep hitting them, keep pushing, keep moving. I think we may have tried to go and encirclement. It's a little bit too big. It's a little bit hard, then we can break through it. Well, you know what? I'm still going to try anyway. Widening in the front line here, just a little wee bit. Are we low supply? Yeah, we are. So we're not actually breaking through it. We tried. So in this case, to try and redeem ourselves, what we can try and do is go for a smaller encirclement. The penalty is too much. Terrain, low supply. We ain't breaking through. Hey, you win some, you lose some, okay? In this case, we get an opportunity to push the Germans back. And if we widen the front line here, we might gain a little bit more extra supply. What we'll also do is go for mechanized too. Why not? Why not make our mechanized even harder, right? What's harder than titanium? War bonds, working conditions, yeah, why not? All right, so it looks like the opportunities to break here are limited. So what I'm going to do is take advantage of the AI's own push. So what I'm going to do is same again, select all these divisions, remove all the ones that are infantry divisions, and I draw a fallback line to here, and then click here. And then Control B them and move them out of the front line. They are stuck in combat, I'll move them out manually. That way we can just get them out of the front line immediately, then you can reposition them somewhere else to fight another day. Once again, delete the front line. When they're in position, we can do what we need to do. My opportunity to push looks like something like maybe sliding through here and trying to take out a few of these divisions. So right now the AI isn't fully beat, and we're deep in the winter if you've not already noticed. White is winter. Who would have known? Making offenses right now is very tricky until about May, June time. So if you're going to go for a push in this time period, it might be better just to go for smaller ones. Don't be too adventurous, unlike me. All right, here we go. We're in position again. We're going to right click. We're going to push into here. Same again. Leave a division behind. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Might be a good idea to press S to split and maybe try and push around the other side as well. Round the outside, round the outside. Go for more of a pincer movement than just a one unified push. The initial push is happening in the north here, and then the counterattack, and breaking through a second time. Ooh, AI struggling to move the troops here. Once again, I'm going to pin them in with the tank divisions. Oh, it's looking really good. Is this the one? It's the one, and we've locked them in to make an encirclement of about 15, 20 divisions. Amazing. Once again, small victories, but in the long run, we're aiming to take chunks out of Germany. Then we can go for the bigger victories, the more adventurous victories, the big chungus victories. Keep an eye on your tank, boyo. Panzer leader? No. He's an expert. We also have infantry guys too, so they've all got infantry leader, go for ambusher, more entrenchment, more defensive abilities, and more defensive abilities is what they're going to go for, because that's what they are doing. They're just digging in, guys, for the winter. And we're done. How much did they lose? At least 300, 400,000 Germans gone. So accidentally here, we've actually done something really funky, which I think is really amusing. So they've pushed here around this tank division because they can't break it, but then they've kind of made a bulge into the front line. Oh no. What's going to happen here, boys? What is going to happen here? And, oh yeah, here. And push. This is plains too. Only thing we have to deal with is the snow in winter. And push. Oh my god, it's just a freebie. It's just a freebie. It's like no one's even bothering to defend. Remember to leave the tank division behind like we just did then. And right now, we have our situation where we're winning. So the 15 divisions, gone. And again, in the north, gonna push through here. Gonna try and hit the control groups really quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold shift, draw front lines, off you go. Japan's just cancelled the non-aggression pact. I hope you're not going to declare war on me. I don't have a war justification. Oh boy, sweats. Maybe they've just suddenly clocked on that I've been lend-leasing for the last 5 years. Another continuous focus that is quite useful is construction engineering. This gives you a 10% construction bonus for infrastructure. Alternatively, also, repair focus is very, very, very strong. Makes repairs happen twice as quick. And top that off as well, you get free repair. So, win-win. And finally broke. Oof, that took way too long. But once again, the first break is always the hardest. And then at that point, you should be able to just slide into the front line, pushing your way into low supply. Keep an eye on your other front lines. Remember, just placing a single tank on one of these front lines will deny the enemy for a very long time, particularly if it's mountains, and also if it's a big river. It will deny them for a very long time. Now, I hear you. I can hear that guy in the comments. I can hear you. You're so loud. You're like, this is a single player game. You're fighting against the AI. This isn't what a player would do. Bro, you're lost. This is a single player game. And I never tricked you into believing it wasn't. If you want to enjoy multiplayer content, there are some great content creators that make that kind of content. How about you check those boys out? This is a single player game. I'm not trying to trick you. It's a single player, bro. So do you know how I said to you earlier about not trying to push into the center with the bad infrastructure? Yeah, I'm trying to push into the center with the bad infrastructure. But it's working to some degree. So do what works for you, okay? You do you. We managed to make a little break here, but it's not running into anything. We've just run into a brick wall of supply. So my honest advice here is just take your losses, move on, trying to find another push to push into somewhere else on the front line. Can't win them all, and in this case, we can win. How many can we win? We can win none. Okay, once again, can't win them all. As I said to you, win the battles you can win. You can't win them all. So, select all the divisions once again, and I'm just going to grab the tank. Get the hell out of there. All right, we can make adjustments to our tank division now, which is going to be useful. So we can take off one mech and add more tanks. More tanks will result in more firepower. More firepower means more breakthrough, more soft attack, and more potential opportunity to break through to the front line. And we are going to take that. How are we going to have tanks to do that? Yes, we do. Okay, we're having a little bit of trouble here with interceptions of convoys. So let's cancel supplies from the Baltic. And yeah, we'll take them from, we'll take supplies around the Arctic, because that's the best, most efficient supply route, right? I'm going to tidy these front lines up a little bit in a minute, because they're really messy. So we're just going to delete all the front lines. And once again, select our field marshal for our infantry army. Z, hold shift, left click, and this creates a really neat front line. Something I used to be against, because there was a bug. If you ever did this style of front line, your generals wouldn't gain as much experience. It was a bug. It's been fixed now. Don't worry about it. Unwielding defender, ambusher, defense, dig in deep, boys. Mechanized too, why not? All right, we've got some juicy supply now, so I think what we can do is look for opportunities to make pushes elsewhere. The south is not looking as strong because they've broken through the mountains here. So what I can do is just reconsolidate our tanks on this front line here and just move them to where they're actually needed. So we made a good encirclement here, and it looks like we might get another opportunity to do another one. So if it works, don't fix it, right? Same thing again. You can either use your control group, so left click, S, move forward. You guess you could create control groups for 2 divisions at a time. Probably be a slightly more efficient. But I think the best thing to do is to do attacks across the front line, push in, break through, and just see if you can spread out your firepower a little more. I think that's one thing I'm probably not doing as efficiently as I should, is I'm not spreading my firepower out. AA, very reliable with a big fat armament. Yes, AA2. Heavy tank, more reliability, and a big gun. In a multiplayer game, bigger gun is the way forward. But hey, did I tell you this isn't a multiplayer game? If you thought this was multiplayer, unfortunately you've been misled, and it wasn't by me. Opportunity to push here and try and counterattack the Romanians. I'm using my tank divisions to do that. Max supply, and also using the infantry around the outside to try and make an extra break. If we could get this forest tile back, we'll just give ourselves a bit more breathing space around this area. Looks like we've got a breakthrough here. Once you do initially make a breakthrough, and if you've got multiple divisions, try and spread them out as much as possible. Because remember, these divisions on the front line here, the new front line, haven't got entrenchment, so they're a lot easier to break. So just keep going. Push, 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 push. And this is a little mistake that I keep making over and over again. When you eventually break through, try not to break through areas, in this case, too urban. Just try and push into the plains here. Go for the easy spots first. Don't try and go for the harder encirclement. Just go for the easy ones. So we're going to go around Konigsberg, even though Konigsberg was even empty. All right. Okay, fair enough. And regardless, we're going to push northwards now, because that means they can retreat through this region, and we don't want them to retreat because they will need to stay here. They have to stay. Another opportunity for an encirclement here too, so I'm going to take that and keep pushing. Push, push, push. And then push further northwards here. Last port, secure it, and an encirclement has been confirmed. And as you can see here, these divisions have no strength, no supplies, and they're all fighting in planes, so they just completely fall apart when they're in combat. Once again, not big divisions here. They're just infantry. But remember, a thinner front line is going to make life a lot easier for you. So there you go. Done. Dusted. And another smaller encirclement to the south. Remember, we're in June right now. This is the perfect time for an offensive. Make sure you're doing the attacking so the Germans can't. But by the looks of things right now, I think we've taken enough divisions to cripple Germany permanently. Yeah, 2.4 million losses. Oof. Here's an example of something not to do. I'm pushing right now over a river into marshlands, and the tank division is suffering an over 100% penalty to attack. Yeah, just don't do this. It goes without saying that if you ever have a spy that gets captured, save them instantly, get them back on the front line, and immediately start building a spy network. The higher spy network means it limits their ability to counterattack you because they don't have their big planning bonus. And the AI loves to use planning bonus, so deny them. They can't have it. It's not theirs. So as you can see, I'm doing the wrong thing here. So let's do the right thing. Let's move this tank division, wrap it around the back, and actually attack into this region without having to go over a river. I don't even think I'm going to have time to do this because the AI is going to already lost. So you attack, stop attacking on this side, and then push this way. That way it's not pushing over a river. Storm the bridge. What bridge? There's no bridges here. Anyway. And we're pushing. But once again, it's another river attack again. There's no river here. We're pushing from here to... Oh, never mind. Anyway, grab all the tanks. Right click. Support attack. Oh my god, so much tank firepower. And they're down. Gone. They're gone. So you can see now the Axis have stopped attacking. And it just simply means that they just don't have the firepower anymore. Too many divisions have been lost. This is the tipping point. Well done. You have reached the point where it's very difficult to lose at this point. And what has happened in the Black Sea? There are 997 mines here. Interesting, Romania. Interesting. Huh. So I feel really comfortable right now. I'm going to cancel all the orders, create a fallback line, and grab all the tanks, Control B, and push them back. So the AI right now is all of a sudden, oh, well, the tanks aren't on the front line anymore. The front line's a lot weaker. Yeah, that's not going to last that way forever. So now this is where we can try the nuclear option. So... we select our army, and then we basically right-click. I kid you not, right-click. And of course, in the same way, we want to create a actual pincer movement and not just push directly into the front line, because we want to make encirclements. Don't just push the enemies back. You want to make encirclements. Don't forget about that. So as you can see here, we're trying to get around the back of these divisions to try and make a push. So the pincer's begun here. We're actually doing some damage. Success in the north. South's a little bit slower. We made a breakthrough there. Yep, another one, and another one, and another one. An overrun. Overruns are always beautiful to see, especially when you don't have air superiority as well. And then this is at the final push, and we broke both sides. And the AI just sits there like, oh no, what's happening? I don't know what to do. And another encirclement has been fulfilled. Be careful not to push too much with your infantry, because your infantry can bog the front line up. So right now from the front, I'm pushing you with the tanks. The infantry are pushing from the rear. And I'm only doing this because I saw them trying to break out here, so I just didn't want to give them an opportunity to break out. And they, funnily enough, have broken out. It sometimes happens, and they have actually done it this time. I think we're having experience in low supply again. Yeah. So if there's any area you want to build infrastructure, it's in this region, because hell, man, the supply here is dreadful. So we initially pushed in with a lot of power, a lot of momentum, and it's created a traffic jam, and we just can't get out of here now. It is what it is. So to get around this area to the south here actually has decent supply. So I'm going to railroad some tanks to the south, and what I'm going to try and do is just shimmy around the back here. These guys have got good supply, so as you can see, the firepower is good. Remember, the first push is the most difficult, but then they're getting momentum now, and they're smashing the infantry. Get them out of the way. Then we're going to support attack from the rear, and now that's a lot of tanks on that front line, even though some of them may be low supply, and we have a break. Holding the front line here, and then we can do a big support attack here and counter-attack with lots of momentum. And once again, using the infantry to support attack, even though they are holding firm, because there's just so many divisions in one location, it happens. And the AI is panicking, seeing that we've made a breakthrough and puncturing their front line, and the counterattack has begun. Once again, now we're in a low supply region again, and the AI is air supplying by the tiniest amount. Tiny, teeny amount. So in this situation, it doesn't look like we're just going to easily break them. The low supply is actually really painful. This is the ultimate traffic jam. The perfect situation is to look for someone who's an organizer. We got a general who's an organizer. We do. I'm not sure if we want to pull one of the infantry divisions off, but the beautiful thing about organizers is when we promote them to field marshals, we can make them logistics wizards, which severely reduces supply. I think at this point, because we're winning so much, it's going to be a better thing to do. So we're going to lose the Panzer Leader and the brilliant aggressive assaulter, which is a shame. But then we're going to end up with a logistics wizard. I don't know why I framed for checks, but that was a mistake. And the field marshal can go here. This will alleviate the supply by 15%, which is huge. Still won't be enough for this area, but it's something. So in this circumstance, we can't break the encirclement. So we're just going to sit. So the AI will attempt to push back into us. And that looks like they're actually doing a pretty decent job at it too. And then when these divisions are low org, because they're sitting in so low supply for so long, we'll eventually be able to break them. When this guy arrives too, that's when supply will drop by 15% due to the logistics wizard. Also be really helpful too if this guy became an organizer as well. So it might be a good idea to keep a trait slot open for this field marshal, for the infantry guy, just in the event you want to move him over. I guess what I could do, once again, this is not the most optimal. This is not min-maxing. But what you can do is make this guy the field marshal when I've got enough CP. I guess we can get more CP by calling attaché, organizer, promote, select this guy, and with a new field marshal, a little bit underqualified, and make him a logistics wizard and an ambusher and a defensive bro, whatever. When we get the CP, we'll do it. And now this will drop supply massively over the whole front line. Once again, they're getting reorganized again, the field marshals / generals, so you have to wait for them to reinforce back into the front line. All right, look how low organization these guys are. So we can just select this guy, right click, and boom, get out of here. Oh, we forgot about these 6 tank divisions too. We can reinforce them back to the front line. And there we go. Loads of tank divisions. And also, I think at this point, we could probably make the tank division even bigger. To add a heavy tank, take off a mechanized, hover over it. Can we add that? Yes, we can. And now you can see... Oh, the overrun. Did you see that? Oh, my goodness. AI, so mad. So we're going to look for the areas with best supply now. And once again, it's from here to here again. 80, 70. I guess we could try and capitulate the Romanians. Yeah, let's do that, actually. Move you guys here. The supply is fantastic at 80, 90. And then we push into Bessarabia, push further southwards. Oh, yeah, everyone got really mad in part 1 that I didn't justify for Bessarabia. Sorry. Whoops. All right, 24 tank divisions here. Decent supply. Logistics wizard, ready to make the attack. Got logistics wizard for the infantry guy too. And here we go. So at this point, this should be straightforward. So what we're going to do once again is right click, leave 2 divisions behind. 1, 2, 3, 4. And smoothly break over the front line. I think this should be actually like a knife through butter. So half will go through the front, and then another 2 lots will break through the back. I think they're actually having a hard... Yeah, okay, Germany's lost so many divisions. They're having trouble containing the Allies. This is not looking too good. What we'll also do is select a few infantry divisions and just assist to get over the river. Remember, the first break is the hardest, getting through that entrenchment and difficult terrain. Oh, absolutely annihilated. 1 go here, 1 go here. Oh, the destruction. And Romania, I'm so sorry. You are in a really bad way. This will more than likely collapse Romania, and that means that a load of divisions are lost for Germany, and their fighting capability drops massively as well. We'll lose Bulgaria too. We'll have access to Hungary, so we can tap into Hungary, losing more divisions on the front line, and then it'll be the beginning of the end for Mr. H. Oh, absolutely. Slicing through that front line. Not even messing around. Is that the end of Romania? I think they're still holding on. There we go. Done. Oh, humiliation. Might as well finish off Bulgaria as well, since the Allies have sliced them from the other side. They actually already have capitulated. Never mind, waste of time. French troops. Disappointment is immense. And that's a load of divisions encircled. All right, now there's an open front line into Hungary. The only problem is that the supply gets back tight here. So I'm going to grab half the divisions and then put them on the front line here. Draw a front line, pop them on the front, railroad them forward. I guess what I could do is just make the front line really long and then put everyone on the front line. And I'll control B to railroad them forward. Germany's assault has slowed down. They've got as many divisions on the front line that we do, so they're not making any pushes anytime soon. Our air wings have completely been destroyed, so that's done. I'm going to pop these guys on the front line, and if we had the command power, which is going to cost us 74... Okay, we're not going to get that. Never mind. Oh, adaptable! Ah! So there's a reason why this guy, Georgie, is so good. He's already got Winter Specialist, so all he needs to gain is 1 more terrain trait, and adaptable is the way forward. Now we have a general that breaks mountains. A mountain-busting tank leader. Wowee. So if we had staff office plan, we'd make a push here, but regardless, we're going to make a push anyway. So this should be relatively straightforward. As you can see, the mountain's struggling a little bit, but for the most part, breaking through and scout planes getting destroyed naturally. Once again, busting through into Hungary, take 2 victory points as well as Budapest, and it should be secure. You always run into a situation like one of the fronts breaks more than the others, and then you end up making these big snakes. I have no shame. Snakes for the win. And Hungary... Oh, he's still holding on! Hungry for more, you could say. Ah! A lot of micro here, just moving divisions across the front line. It's kind of tedious. I'm just trying to avoid encircling myself. I've had to turn off the attack order and then wait for all the infantry to shuffle the way to the front line. Now we can destroy the front line, just make a bigger front line, I guess, here. And then if we want to take out Hungary, we just have to grab another victory point because they're just holding on by a thread. Yep, 95%. In this case, that one, not this one will do. And then off you go once again. AI of desperation is making a counterattack, and by looks of things, the Greek front line is consolidated with ours, and then the south of France is collapsed. D-Day in the south of France. Looks like here too, we've already made a break, so I might as well just wrap around all the way on the back. I think the AI isn't attacking because it thinks it can win. I think it's attacking because it thinks it's getting encircled, so it's like trying to break out as desperately as possible. Trade a few more divisions just to keep the infantry armies well stocked. Once again, a few divisions have been lost on the front. It happens. Overruns are very difficult to avoid. And the break has happened. Oh no, the end. I told you at this point, it becomes easy mode. You kind of have to make big mistakes to lose at this point. As I said that, I get encircled in Belgrade. Same again, another front line, pushing out of Hungary into more deep into Germany. A few areas to be concerned about is that you have got the Sudeten here, which has level 7 forts. So if you do push through this area, you're going to have to individually micro to try and break around it. At this point around, I'm going to have to use my staff office plan. So I'm going to Control B everyone to the front line. As you can see, I've encircled this point here. I guess if I just try and take this one victory point here, the mate run out of supply, because they've got 51 supply here, surprisingly. 51 supply for Romanians, but probably nobody else. And now there's 0 supply. And the AI is desperate, trying to break out. Not happening, bud. Oh, we've freed the Belgrade pocket as well. It's looking pretty good, guys. It's looking pretty good. Staff office plan. We have max planning bonus. And why not go for thorough planner, extra 10%? No, we don't have any command power. God, story of our life. First time in Hearts of Iron 4, I actually need command power. I actually don't have any of it. There we go. Thorough planner, extra 10% extra planning bonus. Boom. Extra 58% attack power. Boom. Oh, the green. Oh, yeah. That's what I want to see. Slovakia is gone. So now we're just left with Italy. And, well, I say Italy. I think we're just left with Germany. Oh, no. So much red. AI has to struggle with multiple front lines now and is not having an easy job doing so. And they're flooding troops on the front line, but it's not really making much of a difference. And I said I was going to struggle with the Sudeten forts, but no. It's just pretty straightforward. We've also got an interesting pocket. I guess we can close it now. Select the boys, right click, and they insta-retreat because they have 0 org. The fall of Rome, practically the fall of the Axis. Liberation of Paris. At this point as well, if you want to go even more heavy on the tank, you can do 2 more heavies, take off 2 more mechs. And 40 org is still really high. The lowest you can go on org for your tank is about 30. Every time you had an heavy tank on, it's going to drop the org a little bit lower. Be aware, org is how long you're going to fight for. And a lot of the time, if you're doing enough firepower with just enough organization to fight for it, you'll do okay. If you just have to drop below 30 org, then bad things start to happen. Just be aware of that. All right, now we're having a really hard time with supplies. So here we go. Desperate times. Desperate measures, and we no longer have to import anything. Oh, it's great, isn't it? Well, rubber, maybe a little bit rubber. And of course, take care of those supplies. Lots of infrastructure. I wonder, with the next expansion, whether this is going to be easy to do. You don't have to, like, mass repair everything. Maybe you just have to do the train depots. I don't know. We'll soon see. You can also go for total mobilization if you want to, too. And then do women in the workforce to stop losing all of your org. Replace my spies back now and again. You'll have issues with them constantly getting captured. As long as you stay on top of it and you have a little bit of intel on Germany, it'll stop them from counterattacking you, so you'll do pretty swell. Not doing too well with the divisions on the front line here. I think we can attack with the full front line of infantry now. Yeah, we can. And aside from in the north, everywhere else we're breaking. Rip Areno. The fall of Berlin. If we take Stuttgart, and if we take Hamburg, it's over. I don't know how they got captured. You got captured? How did that happen? There's not even any missions going on right now. You must know the war's coming to an end. And few more cities go for Frankfurt. Capital of Germany, Wilhelmshaven. The end. And guess who has the max war score? That is Mr. Stalin, of course. Puppet Germany. and puppet Italy, and take Bessarabia incredibly late. Oh, you know what? I have the oil fields as well. Slovakia? I'll take that. And puppet Hungary? You guys love nice borders, right? Pretty borders. So now the allies always want to satellite. So now we're in a situation we passed a bajillion times. Now you could take all this land if you wanted to, but I'm gonna make pretty borders, okay? Oh, they restored Memel. Oh, I forgot about Memel. Whoops. Memel is a core of Lithuania, so yeah, that's a thing. Hungary, and then Italy. Voila. So you might get a pop-up for the Yalta conference. My advice is to say no to that, because you want to have a new world which consists of lots of combatants. And Poland has disappeared. I don't know why, but look at that. Oh, Italian Socialist Republic of Germany, Hungarian Republic. Look at that oil. Romania, it's mine now. And the Allies have border gored the world. I don't understand why they've completely dismantled France. We have a British Aquitaine. Why? I don't know. The United States seems to have state of clay to Provence and the Alps. Did you like this video? Then you'll love this one. 100% of the money I gain on Patreon goes directly towards editors to make more videos. If you want to contribute to editors, making more of my videos, the link is below.